Matthew Stafford has been traded to the Los Angeles Rams, and this is undoubtedly one of the biggest trades of the last decade. It was the first time since 2009 that we had a quarterback for quarterback trade, and the last time was Kyle Orton and 2 first-round picks in exchange for Jay Cutler. But late on Saturday night, details emerged that Jared Goff, 2 first-round picks, and a third-round pick would be heading to Detroit in exchange for veteran quarterback Matt Stafford. And in today's video, we're going to discuss the expectations for Matt in his first year in LA, for Jared in his first year in Motor City, and each team moving forward. Now, I do want to quickly say I released a video on Deshaun Watson Saturday and pretty much said we're not going to see an example here. Kyler Murray for Deshaun be a trade because quarterback for quarterback trades do not happen, and while some people were commenting after the fact about that, let's get this clear. A QB for QB trade last occurred when Brett Favre was still in the league, so this is not a common thing. Could it happen again, and will it happen again? Yes, of course. The NFL will not go to the league's 200th year without a quarterback for quarterback trade, but do not expect that every offseason going forward. Now, before we get started, please like the video and subscribe to the channel, as each only take a second to do, and it would be very much appreciated. Now let's begin. We're going to start in today's video by discussing the Lions and Jared Goff moving forward. Now, they do have to embrace Goff's contract, which isn't exactly desirable, but what makes this okay for Detroit is they can embrace it, whereas a lot of teams cannot. This is going to sound a lot more mean than how I want it to be interpreted, but take a look at the Lions roster and think for a minute. Who would they have to pay to the point where they'll lose somebody in large part due to Jared Goff's contract? If you say Kenny Golladay, that's not exactly true, because Kenny could very well leave this offseason to go try and compete for a Super Bowl. The possibility Detroit offers him more money than another team is very real, due to the Lions not making the playoffs once in Galladay's 4-year career. But going back to the Lions, and this trade strongly benefits them from a football standpoint, as they get a quarterback in Jared Goff who has been to the Super Bowl before in his career. Acquiring Goff and 2 first-round picks for Stafford is a major win for them, as Jared is 26 years old and has a lifetime record of 42-27, and when you take away an 0-7 rookie record, it moves to 42-20. So while Goff isn't a Patrick Mahomes or Aaron Rodgers type player, where he'll throw for 47 touchdowns on his way to a 14 or even 15-win season, he can get the job done. But counterpoint, what a lot of people will and understandably say, he's had Sean McVay as his head coach, with players like Todd Gurley, who by the way was an Offensive Player of the Year award winner, Cooper Kupp, Brandon Cooks, and Robert Woods. How good can Goff really do in his own situation without any of those guys? And that is a very fair question. He will go from Cam Akers, Kupp, Woods, and others to DeAndre Swift, TJ Hawkinson, and really who knows at receiver at this point in time. Kenny is a free agent, as we said, and so is Marvin Jones. And we have heard for years that Matt Stafford is a good quarterback, great on some accounts, and now we will see how another starting caliber quarterback fares with the same talent he had. But this is definitely a move for the future for Detroit, and there is zero doubt about it. They signed new head coach Dan Campbell to a 6-year contract, and new general manager Brad Holmes to a 5-year contract. So while the Fords, the owners of the Lions for those that don't know, would want a new regime to win right away, they're long-term solutions and not short-term fixes. Coaches and GMs aren't given those contracts to come in and turn around a team from 5-11 to a 13-3 Super Bowl or bust run in 1 year, and everyone knows that. And trading Matt Stafford for a brighter future is the very start of that. While Stafford is clearly the best Lions quarterback of all time, any sensible Lions fan, from a football standpoint, should be happy with this return. Receiving 2 first-round picks for a 32-year-old quarterback, who, fair or not, has a lifetime losing record, is a good exchange. And on top of it, they get a starting caliber quarterback in return. Now, whether Jared Goff is the long-term answer in the Motor City is something we will find out in the next year or two, but with Detroit having 5 first-round picks in the next 3 years, as the trade involved a 2022 and 2023 first, not 2021, this is a phenomenal way to build a football team. Detroit can go really anywhere in the draft this year aside from tight end or a few pieces on the offensive line, and it would make sense. They select 7th overall, and if they want to draft a receiver for the next decade, such as Jamar Chase or Devontae Smith if they're available, and help out Jared Goff in the process, then this would make sense. Now, again, just being honest, I don't expect the Lions to be good in 2021, and that was with either Stafford or Goff. The roster roster is not great, and there's a reason Fat Matt and Bob Quinn were both fired. But adding extra first-round picks is a great way to start a rebuild. General Manager Brad Holmes has been credited with keeping the Rams' depth chart as solid as it's been, and we know they haven't had a first-round pick since, ironically, Jared Goff. So if Holmes can play that big of a hand in helping the Rams stockpile talent with no first-round pick over the last 5 years, then imagine what he can do with 5 first-round picks over the next 3 years. The last point of discussion for the Lions and why this strongly benefits them is because these first-round picks are down the road. They do get a full year, assuming he stays healthy of course, a full year of watching Jared Goff play as their franchise signal caller before making a decision on whether or not they want him to be their quarterback beyond the 2021 season. And now for the Rams. So initially when hearing the details of this trade, everyone, myself included, thought the Rams got fleeced, because while the majority of people would agree that Matt Stafford is better than Jared Goff, they would also agree he is not 2 first-round picks and a third-round pick better than Jared Goff. Now, what a lot of people at the time may not have realized was this compensation for Jared was the Rams' way of saying we know his contract is huge, and here is the extra compensation because we need you guys to take this off of our hands. So, with Matt Stafford in the NFC West now, we look at this division and preface it by saying this division is absolutely loaded with talent, and this enhances it even more. And we start by talking about the Rams' 2020 season and acknowledge how good they were at times and what the addition of Matt means for them going forward. They won a playoff game, and in that game, they shut down Russell Wilson and the Seahawks, and it was a game where their quarterback play for Los Angeles was not good, to say the least. They combined to complete just 48% of the passes between Goff and John Wolford, threw for just 184 yards and a touchdown on top of it. Now, there is no reason Matt Stafford could not be better than that, and ultimately win his first career playoff game next year, assuming the Rams get there. But there is a lot to discuss here when looking at this. So everyone has always said Stafford is a good quarterback and that he was in a bad situation, and that if he got out of that situation he would win games. Well, those narratives and those claims end after next year. We'll truly see whether Stafford is that good of a player and Detroit is that awful of a franchise, or if Stafford is good and might win a playoff game, but not great Super Bowl champion level. And with how the Rams roster is constructed in win now mode, that is, they're going to be tested early and often in 2021. And what's going to be especially tough for Stafford and the Rams, and I can't reiterate this enough, is how tough the NFC West is going to be in the regular season next year. This goes for all of the NFC West teams when saying this, and what I want to get across is this division is so good that it wouldn't surprise me if they don't have a team representing the Super Bowl for a few years because of how physical the games they play against each other are every year. Where in comparison you look at a team like the Packers or Bucks, for example, the 2 final remaining teams in the NFC from this year, the Packers had 4 games against the Vikings and Lions, and the Bucks had 4 games against the Panthers and Falcons. The Rams don't get 4 games against the worst teams in the division, well, they do, but not like that, and solely benefit from playing those bad teams as you take a quick look around that division and ask, who is the bad team in 2021? It is widely acknowledged the 49ers will be back. The Seahawks have a 40 passing touchdown quarterback in Russell Wilson and a budding superstar receiver in DK Metcalf, and the Cardinals are on the rise and should only get better. So what I'm saying is to simply not expect Stafford to come in and be basically a fix on a water leak and just stop all the problems and lead the Rams to a 13-win year, a number 1 seed, and a first-round bye. Could it happen? Yes, but it would very much surprise me. And looking at the NFC next year, it is going to be more open than it was this year. San Francisco will be back. Tom Brady has said he will be back as he wants to play out his contract. The Packers just had a quarterback throw for 48 touchdowns and win 13 games, so they will most certainly be back. And then there is the entire NFC West division. Of course, there will be teams like, and right now we expect Washington to be better with the improvement of their defense, and only better under Ron Rivera. The Cowboys could very well be contenders if their defense can not give up 40 a game when Dak is playing, and others as well. But the point is, even with the addition of Stafford, this is the toughest division in football, and if that offends you because your team is in whatever division, well, it shouldn't. I'm not going to go division by division and break teams down, but I will say this. Every other division except for the NFC West had at least one team with 5 wins or fewer, and the 49ers had 6, largely due to injury. So anyways, good for the Rams for adding their guy, but at some point, and we don't know when, they will fall off. The consistently trading first-round picks is an interesting strategy, and it's not one we normally see done, and for good reason. Teams build through the draft, and that philosophy has stood the test of time. Now, I want to credit them and not just beat them down the whole video, but I do want to credit them for how good they were this year, as they went into Seattle and won a playoff game, and beat other good teams like the Bucks in Tampa and the Cardinals in Arizona. We also saw them have games like losing to the Jets mixed in with this, but hopefully Matt Stafford helps them take the next step and gets them back to the Super Bowl. They have good players on the roster and there is no denying that. And for Stafford, it is time to see if all of the hype he's had from Lions fans for years was just that, or if he can really deliver in the right situation. And with that being said, that's all I have for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, I encourage you to like the video and subscribe to the channel, as the support is very much appreciated and it tremendously helps the growth of the channel. Now, I will see you guys next time. Have a great day. Love you guys. Deuces. Peace.